That Guilty Gear game is like watching some on Clunky 3 anime. I don't want to
Well,
watch that.
Well, man, to each his
you
own.
want,
Everyone can have their
I was
opinion.
about to say that
You know.
if you want if you want bad animation, 3D kind, try some of the early animation games.
No, go play Street Fighter 4 because that's bad 3D animation.
What?
But that's neither here nor
Oh, you don't.
there.
Oh, you don't. Someone doesn't like calligraphy.
Yeah,
Calligraphy? There's
yeah.
a difference between style and function, buddy.
So before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves, starting with the lady first. So Jewel, then Trusk, then myself, and then I'll outline the topics for the night, and then we'll dive into it. Let's get to it. Starting with the ladies first.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to BS Pastors Midweek Podcast. I'm Joey on Moonstar, and we are about to get into some ancient topics
I
soon
mean,
enough.
I guess they're ancient. Okay, go ahead, Trusk. Introduce yourself.
Not the usual guest.
All right. And this is Mr. Red Fox of BS Busters. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Gmail at mrredfoxbsbuster@gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at MrRedFox91. That's all lowercase, both the Gmail address and the Twitter address. So, and soon I'll be starting, you'll be able to find me on the gram and Twitch, all that stuff. But with that being said, let's get to it. So our topics for tonight, we've got a good mix of PC, console, all types of stuff going on. But before we dive into any of that type of news, I guess we gotta get the bad news out the way first.
Oh boy.
Yes, yes, yes.
Who'd stepped in it now?
Wait a
Well,
minute.
no one stepped into it. A
Wait,
man died.
wait a minute.
So basically,
Rick May, the old voice of Peppy Hair.
well, he wasn't just the voice of Peppy Hair. Rick May actually was a stage thespian, so he was an actor for plays and stuff like that. And he was the voice actor for not only Peppy Hair, but the soldier from Team Fortress and Team Fortress 2. Um, he
That's
was he acted on Broadway shows like multiple Broadway shows. You know, the man had an illustrious career. He wasn't just Star Fox, okay? And it would be ignorant to only pigeonhole him as just the Star Fox guy. The sad thing is that he died from COVID-19.
ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
He had
Jesus Christ.
he had surgery, and his family put him into a nursing home to recover from it, and then bring him home, and he died.
Another famous person and killed by COVID.
Yeah, it's sad, it sucks, but he
What's the
passed
Things
away.
Chinese for
happen.
that?
Yeah, he passed away. It's sad, it sucks, but
Or that and the Chinese government was spreading lies about
Ooh.
yeah,
COVID
he,
19.
he had a.
Jesus.
Okay, then we're not gonna spout things that we have no evidence of. Okay. So
Sorry
with
about
that
that.
being said,
Let's hope that
keep it
they
moving,
pretend they
keep it
did
moving.
not hear that.
So anyway, Artifact. Apparently,
Oh, that joke.
apparently Valve is actually starting to try and overhaul it. They're actually doing some things that I guess are better than what it used to be. So
Oh boy, where do I even begin with them?
the randomized number generation that got you cards are apparently um, being done away with, and now it's kind of like a slot machine type thing. I don't know how that's better than randomly. I guess slots give you slightly better odds than just random number generation, but I
Um,
don't know.
there's still the problem that's coming up in there, because here's the thing. It's still random of who you're attacking, which is kind of a BS move.
Okay, I see. It's not. It's basically, um, before it was random in how you deployed your first set of heroes and the creeps, but now it's got these slots that you can put your characters into. So I guess that's giving more control to the gamers. I mean the players. I guess that's I guess that's
Yeah,
better.
that's a small step in that direction.
Well, that's not really small. I mean, that's a major change because before it was random and now you have more control over what's going on. It's like the difference between
I say it's a small step because even though
solitaire and
I was
poker.
saying it's a small step of where you put your units. It's a difference that they still are picking at random whether you're attacking forward or attacking left and right.
Uh, okay. Well, I mean, I don't think it's that small of a step. It's a step. It's not as far as they could go, but I mean, hopefully they can turn this shit around and make it useful. I mean, because Valve has actually started to come back with something that people like. Apparently, people are really loving that new Half-Life game. So I heard that it's good. I don't have a VR rig.
I'm not impressed.
Well, I mean, from the people, like, okay, I've heard from people who've played it from different viewpoints of the VR angle, and all of them, even people who are very much anti VR who have played it, say it's a good game. So, because I've heard that it's a good game from multiple sources and not just people who are pro VR, but also people who are vehemently against VR and they still think it's a good game, then I'm not going to be like, it's shit, even though I'm not into VR. So, like, from the 6, 7 people that I know who've played it and beaten it, they say it's good. Of those 6 or 7 people that have said it's good, like a good 3 of them don't really give a shit about VR, and the other 4 kind of really into it. So, well, actually, the other 3 are really into it, and one guy is like kind of on the fence. So, I mean, I've got a decent
Yeah,
spread
it's
of people who are like, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, personally, like I mean, I would have loved to have had a game that starred Gordon Freeman. But apparently, the twist in this game at the end of the game kind of sets up Gordon Freeman. So, uh, it's kind of connected to Gordon
I
Freeman,
can
so I
hear
guess that's good.
I can hear that you're never getting Half-Life 3.
Um,
Yeah.
they might do it. I mean, like, here's the thing. At this point, like Valve has so much money, but like, okay, here's the one thing about the Epic Game Store. Because Epic is actually coming out with stuff, Valve actually has to leverage their IPs. They can't just be like, we're Valve." Like, they actually have to do things. So, because of this, I mean, that's why you got Half-Life VR. Half-Life
Alex.
Alex. Half-Life Alex. And I know what some people are saying, but I don't want it to be VR. But this is what we said earlier, like years ago, when Valve was like, we're going to make a Steam box and all that shit. I was like, the smart thing for them to do would be to make a Half-Life game that leverages the Steam box. They're doing the same thing. It's just leveraging VR
Leverage.
instead of it's leveraging VR.
Play leverage.
It's leveraging VR instead of the Steam box. But the Steam box was bullshit anyway. I mean, like I said, and from what I heard, the people that have done reviews that have played this game have said that Half-Life VR, Half-Life Alex is actually a good game. Like, and I mean, that's really the benchmark of a VR game. Like, is it VR just for the sake of VR? Or is there a good game underneath there? Because a lot of this shit, they're like, oh, it's VR. They're doing it because it's a hype thing. It's not because it's actually adding something to the game. Apparently, the VR actually helps. So, I mean, good for them. I'm glad.
Speaking of hype, I never thought the hype would be so painful.
I mean, like, here's the thing. I want gaming to be good on all platforms. When I get pissed off is when people get hyped up about shit that's just a fad and it's being ill-used, or it's a bandwagon thing, not because they actually have something interesting to do. Like I said, I've heard from multiple people that the VR is actually The VR is in service to the game and not just there as a fad. Although it should be, considering that this game was built for that particular platform. It works really well in VR. And plus a lot of people really want to go back to that world, the Half-Life world. And I'm not gonna, I'm a Half-Life fan, so
I'm only kind of disappointed that it's a VR game, but otherwise I can respect it. Though I have to wince knowing that it's stuck behind something that people said that is supposed to be the future of gaming.
Well, I mean, to be fair, people are already modding it so that you can play it on your normal PC without VR. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure there'll come a point where they'll make a non-VR version, either officially or unofficially, because, like I said, there are people who just for, like me, yeah, I could have, my PC is VR ready, but I don't want to put shit on my head. I already wear glasses, and I have really bad eyesight. I don't want more shit on my face.
This is the reason why I consider VR as a bad thing, because there's people like you or people like me that kind of are not comfortable with certain things about VR, like having a headset on you or have odd motion sickness.
Well, I mean,
like that.
I don't really have motion sickness. I mean, just for me personally, I think VR isn't to the point where I would be comfortable using it yet. Like if virtual reality ever gets to the point where we have something like the holodeck, which would be the ultimate reality of, because then you're in a virtual reality, but it's a reality.
Yeah.
It's an alternate reality, not a virtual reality. Or we get to the point where you just wear a helmet, like a bike, like a motorcycle helmet, and you sit down in a chair, kind of like those animes or some shit like that. That would be the ideal, where it would be cheap enough to where anyone could get it, and you plug it into your computer, and it's like you're in the thing, and it's interacting with your brain. That would be the awesome. And it was affordable. So like under $1,000, that would be a nice VR. But I don't think we're gonna get there. I don't think we're gonna get there.
At least not within 10 years.
I mean,
at least.
We might do it in 10 years, but it's going to be prohibitively expensive for anyone who isn't middle class. Like if you're one of those people if you're one of those gamers who, I sold this in order to get this, you ain't getting it. Okay, I sold this in order to get this. Well, your broke ass needs to keep on playing on whatever the hell you're playing on, because you ain't getting the VR headset. You broke ass. You peasant.
You're laughing like Carl from ATHF.
What?
Carl from ATHF, Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I mean, I don't know about that, but I'm just saying, it's, but all new technology is kind of prohibitively expensive at first, like the first, I mean, if you adjust for inflation, the first consoles were like, $500, $600. If you adjust for inflation, they were not inexpensive. And then over time, things get cheaper. Allegedly, but not really, because, I mean, hell, when I was a kid, when I was during the 3rd and 4th gen, you could get an NES controller for like $10. You get an SNES controller between $15 and $20. Now, controllers cost more than games. Like a SNES Pro, like a Nintendo Pro controller for the Switch costs like $70. On sale, $64. That's more than a game. That's more than a AAA game.
Nintendo consoles. What would have been great if Monster Rancher came back on the Wii U.
I think there was a Monster Rancher on the Wii U. It was a port of the 3rd game, but it was on there. So anyway, next story.
Third game. Wait. Port
Yeah.
of the 3rd game.
Yeah, it was a port of Monster Hunter Tri.
I meant Monster Rancher.
Oh, you mean Monster Rancher? I mean, they didn't they bring that back for the Switch? Aren't they bringing that back for the Switch? Except it doesn't have the whole put in discs in order to, which kind of negates the whole purpose of Monster Rancher.
That's what I was hyped about. Out. Monster
Oh, well.
Rancher coming to the new Wii U.
Oh well, it ain't happening. So, I mean, like the
That's
whole.
a
I've even tried convincing them by making Monster Rancher posts on Miiverse.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Wii U sales wise didn't sell enough for a lot of games to be put on there. So, you know, I mean, listen. Like I said, I like the Wii.
Picky. They're picky.
Look, no, it's called business, man. People want to make money, and Monster Rancher was never that big of a franchise anyway. So for them, like,
yeah.
It was a huge franchise back in the day.
no, it wasn't.
Nah.
No, it was not a huge franchise.
I mean, Monster Rancher was a game that was popular in a sense,
They
but not.
tried to make it a huge franchise, but it wasn't even the top 5 of the monster games that were on the PlayStation. It wasn't even the top
Yeah.
5 monster games that were around at that time. The king of monster games in that generation, the 5th generation, was Pokemon, Digimon, Tamagotchi. On the PlayStation, okay, I'm gonna take out Pokemon because Pokemon wasn't on the PlayStation. It was Digimon, Tamagotchi.
I got you on the PlayStation.
Co-
The game on the PlayStation.
uh, Jade Cocoon and Azure Dreams, and then at the bottom it was Monster Rancher. And the reason Monster
Yeah.
Rancher was big was because you could take CDs from other games that you owned and put them in the thing when you put them in the disc reader, and that basically would it would read the data and create a random monster with random stats based on what CD you put in there.
Yeah, though that
And
kind
ever since they
gimmick
added-
kind of got removed when in certain games later on.
And I hate to break this to you, but the reason that game made money for Namco, I think didn't Namco?
No. Tecmo.
Tecmo was because Sony basically gave them a payout because it incentivized people to buy Sony games for the PlayStation. It was another marketing ploy by Sony through Tecmo in order to get people to buy Sony PlayStation shit. And Sony formatted discs. Okay? It was a marketing stunt. But Monster Rancher was never that financially, because if it was that, it wasn't that financially stable. Now, I'm not saying that people didn't like that game. I mean, I personally liked Monster Rancher.
I know.
I liked it. I didn't love it. I like, here's the thing. The idea of Monster Rancher is really good. The execution was never that good. The actual gameplay, a series of mini games, and then you have a fight where you have very little control over your monster. And by the time you got your monster stats to the point where they were competitive, they'd age out of everything. So basically, you had to wait 3 or 4 generations of being a Monster Rancher before you could start getting and breeding monsters that were strong enough to actually be competitive. And it was just it was a major grind.
It was a challenge.
No, it was a grind. It was, and not a fun grind, not like an RPG grind. It was like, this is unnecessarily difficult. The gameplay was kind of crap. The idea behind the gameplay was good. The execution was crap. And here's the thing. You can have all the good ideas in the world. If your execution is trash, then everything falls apart. And that's kind of the problem with Monster Rancher. It had some really good ideas. The execution was crap. I hope they fix that for the new release, but they probably won't, because, I mean, Tecmo Koei doesn't have any incentive to make the gameplay better.
But when I saw the Wii, I saw they had the potential to use both the CD back in the old days of the PlayStation, and the Magic Field, which was used in Monster Rancher DS.
I mean, they could, but like I said, they have no incentive to. Next little bit of news. Humans, Aliens, and Hybrids joined forces in XCOM Chimera Squad. So this is coming out next week. Surprise game dropped by the developers of the latest XCOM games. So if you're really into XCOM, there you go, folks. A new game coming out.
Doesn't get my interest.
Oh, well. It's for those of you who don't know, XCOM is basically like a...
It's a tactics game of sorts.
Yeah, it's a
MMO
hardcore. Yeah, it's a
Another-
hardcore permadeath tactics game. In the veins of old school Fire Emblem, except it's set in a modern age, so you've got guns and stuff in it, and rocket launchers and units in a isometric field that you can kind of set up where they're going to go and stuff, and have overwatches so when people pop up, you can shoot them in the face. It's actually pretty fun. And you get to fight aliens, so, you know, there's always
That's
that.
a plus.
If you ever want to shoot E.T. in the face, this is for you. I mean, not literally E.T., but a character like E.T. in the face. Next, okay, so Sega says that a Persona 5 listing for PC on Amazon France is an error.
Yeah, it turns out that you told me that I think they actually released it on the front end side of Amazon a little too soon.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it was an error, but I don't think it's an error because there isn't going to be a Persona 5 PC port. I think it's an error because they put it on too soon. Now, I don't have anything to support this, but this is the same site that also dropped that that Horizon Zero Dawn was coming to PC too. So,
Don't
you know,
about that.
it's coming to PC. Because here's the dirty little secret that people don't want to admit. A lot of games that are Sony exclusive don't sell well. That's it. Just a lot of games that are Sony exclusive do not sell well. And, you know, these companies are businesses, and businesses want to make money. And, you know, it would behoove these companies to actually put these games on other platforms aside from just Sony. That's it. I know some people will disagree, but I don't care. Next, a guy who is the Binding of Isaac artist. I guess he's the illustrator, the guy who makes. He basically did a little mock-up of how he would do a Banjo-Kazooie Mario RPG sort of title.
Yeah, but without Rare's consent, and
well, I
they're
mean,
gonna be pissed off.
let me put it this way: who cares about Rare? Rare under Microsoft is a joke, and so who cares what they think about anything? Okay. If
sure,
this was-
Microsoft did some dick moves,
if this was Rare,
but I think they're starting to improve.
let me put it this way: if this was Rare during the 4th or 5th gen, I would say, oh man, he needs their permission. Rare now could literally, someone could bust into their house and they could have like, this is my only.
I'm telling you something. If it's not Robin Beanland or
This is.
Grant Kirkhope or
They're gone.
Chris
They're
Sutherland.
gone. They don't work there anymore. Rare right now, literally Rare right now is like is like literally to like the way I feel about Rare under Microsoft. If they were in their house, it's like, this is my only bowl of cereal, and someone busted in their house and peed in their bowl of cereal, I'd be like, good, fuck them. I don't care about Rare. Who cares about Rare under Microsoft? They're trash. All their games have been trash. They don't even make good games anymore. And I know what some people want to say. What about Killer Instinct? They didn't make Killer Instinct. Another studio made Killer Instinct. Jewel, thoughts?
For me, I'm basically saying that that's a good thing that there might be a good change, though I'm more of a wait and see right there.
Well, I mean, like, here's the thing. I don't think we'll ever get a Banjo-Kazooie RPG because that'd be too awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. That would be too good to be.
Yeah.
I
We'll
mean, I
never
have
get
to
one.
wait and see
That'd
that
be too
happens.
awesome. That'd be too awesome. But I mean, just the idea of just, you know.
Are you tell me you're not bringing up that topic of Project Dream back at the SNES?
Oh boy.
before Rare actually made a Banjo-Kazooie.
Well, I mean, like I said, I like.
That became Sea of Thieves, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it now.
I mean, I don't think Sea of Thieves was ever a Banjo Kazooie game.
Wait, Project Rare? Don't believe me? Look it up. Project Dream.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever a. I don't think that was ever a. How can I put this? I don't think that was ever. I don't think that was ever a Banjo Kazooie game.
Add that. Before it was re-released as Banjo-Kazooie and as a platformer.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I just don't. No. Sorry, no. You mean the game that became Sea of Thieves, or do you mean the game that they started out
name.
You mean the game that they started out for the N64 that became Banjo-Kazooie?
They started out on the actually Banjo-Kazooie started out on the SNES as Project Dream, and then they moved it to the N64, and they redid the game.
All right. Now I thought you were talking about some game they were working on under Microsoft that became Sea of Thieves, and I'm like, no, that Sea of Thieves was never a Banjo-Kazooie game. Okay, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see here. Moving on. We have a trailer for a game called Alwa's Legacy. It's the sequel to a game called Alwa's Adventure, and it's kind of a puzzle platformer game where you have combat, but it's mostly built around you using. Yeah, I didn't say you were wrong. I said like like here's the thing. I thought you were talking about some project that they were working on for under Microsoft for the Xbox.
No, not. I did not say anything about Microsoft.
Project Dream. I mean, I didn't know the title Project Dream, but I knew that Banjo-Kazooie started life as a SNES game and then was ported over to the. Well,
why are you using ported?
It wasn't really ported over. They had an idea for a game, and then Nintendo was going to come out with their N64, and then they saw Super Mario 64, and they was like, "Shit, we can do that." and they took the concepts that they saw in that and made Banjo-Kazooie.
You really need to work your vocabulary a little bit, man. The more understandable word.
Okay.
Okay. When you take work from one, when you're programming a game, when you take assets from one engine and you move them to another, that's called porting. Okay. So.
That's what you mean.
So here's the thing. Okay.
Porting it has more than more than one meaning, huh?
For example, okay, Smash Brothers Ultimate has a lot of assets that were ported over from Smash Brothers for Wii U. Okay, like a lot of assets. A lot of assets were ported over from the Wii U version of that game to the Switch version of that game, to the Switch iteration. Okay, it's not a direct one-for-one port because there's some physics changes and it's a different engine, but a lot of the assets were ported over. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a port of the Wii U version.
That's my idea for port.
Well, no, because there's different types of ports. There's direct ports.
Enhanced ports.
Yeah.
Well, there's direct ports, which is you're literally except for maybe some graphical upgrades, maybe some new content, like practically nothing has changed. You haven't changed the game. For example, the port of Twilight Princess and
to the Wii U, to the Wii.
Yeah, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. Those are direct ports. Aside from the little extra shit they added, those are direct ports. There's nothing new really added to those games. Then there are remakes remakes, which are not necessarily ports. For example, Link's Awakening for the Switch. That is a
Hold on.
remake.
What is it, mother?
But anyway, there's different types of.
Say.
They mean different types of things. It's not just the same thing. Anyway, so yeah, Alwa's Legacy is a nice little game. The previous game is okay. It's kind of a 2D platformer, if you will, puzzle platformer. Kind of have to.
About that. That was my mother.
Yeah.
It's understandable. We heard. But anyway, yeah, it's a nice little puzzle platformer. There's not a lot of combat. Like there is some combat, but most of the time you use certain magic spells to solve puzzles and stuff like that. So actually, the combat's the weakest part of the game, or at least the previous game. I don't know about this new game, but if the sequel if the combat in the sequel is like it was in the first game, then it's probably going to be the weakest part of the game. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this guy on YouTube basically has this little segment called "Today I Found Out," and he basically confirmed what we always knew as Nintendo fans, that Nintendo makes really durable products.
And you actually, I kind of knew that firsthand when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would end up dropping some on my Nintendo controllers by mistake, and like GameCube controllers, and it's.
No, I didn't do it by mistake. When I would get angry, I would nunchuck a controller. I had anger issues.
I'm glad I don't have those. But if anything,
God.
it's interesting to know that some systems could take a beating.
Well, I mean, Nintendo systems. I think Sega had pretty.
Mr. Fox.
I think Sega had pretty durable systems. No one has made systems as durable as Nintendo and Sega back in the day, though. Like Sony systems aren't as durable. I've had Sony controllers break on me. I've gone through Xbox controllers like no one's business. And I don't mean cheap second party, third party controllers.
First party
controllers. I've gone through about 5 360 controllers and about 2 Xbox One controllers.
I almost thought of the Wii U as fragile.
I mean, really, I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. The Switch is the first Nintendo console that I felt like wasn't as durable as previous Nintendo consoles.
You gotta be real careful with them.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever had to be careful. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, after I got out of like being like a teenager, I wasn't really tough on my consoles. But I mean, like, I never had to worry about, oh man, if this accidentally drops, I'm in trouble. Not with the Nintendo console. I'm like, it'll be fine. You know, nope, not with the Switch. The Switch is like, nah, I'm not taking. Like, I see people, I'm gonna take my Switch everywhere. I'm like, are you insane? Why would you do that?
Yeah, reason why I call people out and saying that this is not a portable system. This is a stay-at-home system.
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid console.
It's a hybrid console. It has.
I tried to tell my cousin that, but he wouldn't listen.
It has the capabilities. It has some of the capabilities of a handheld. It's some of the capabilities of a console, but none of the strengths of either. The dedicated strengths of either.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the dedicated strength of a console. Doesn't have the dedicated portability of a handheld. Yeah. So I mean, that's the flaw of a hybrid. My last car was a hybrid vehicle. And recently, like this year, I got a pure electric vehicle. And I can tell you right now, my miles per charge versus my miles per gallon per charge with the hybrid, so much better with my pure electric car versus my hybrid. Like, a hybrid's nice if you want just a little bit of kind of a median performance, but if you want something that's dedicated, you can't beat a purely dedicated to this one side of the spectrum, and It's just the way it
Mhm.
is.
That I could totally believe in.
Yeah.
Though, if anything, it kind of pisses me off that people say it's more handheld than
Well,
console.
I mean, it kind of is, depending on how you use it. For example, if you use it primarily as a handheld, then to you it is a handheld. I don't use my Switch as a handheld, which kind of brings it down for me because I
Yeah.
I don't really use it as I don't really use it as a I don't really use it as a handheld.
Yeah, and the last time I heard, a handheld does not cost 300 US dollars.
What?
And last I heard, usually usually a handheld does not cost 300 US dollars.
I don't know. The 3DS cost like almost $300 because I bought mine at launch. It was $279.99.
Yeesh, I got it for 220.
Nah, man, I bought that shit at launch. Cause look, that's how much of a Nintendo fan I am. I've bought all except for the Game Boy. I bought every other Nintendo handheld and console at launch, including the Switch. Um, so believe me when I say, I was kind of like, I mean, they're really. I mean, well, I'm not gonna get into it, but there should have been a loyalty program for the Switch. Um, damn sure, because. But that's neither here nor there. Let's keep it moving. Keep it moving. This next little story. Well, we can save that for Saturday's cast, the newscast. Um, keep it moving. Keep it moving. So I guess we can go to these other topics. So, we covered the death of Rick May. We covered some of the stories, op-ed type piece type things. Okay, I guess. So, what have you guys been playing lately to pass the time during this crisis, if you will?
Basically, I've been diving into RPGs, and while I have, and recently, well, I started up a new game of Bowser's Inside Story.
Really? The remix or the original?
Both and BRB.
Mm,
Bored.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna be heading on my way. To be on the way.
All right.
See you later.
Peace. All right. Have fun. Yeah. I mean, I like Bowser's Inside Story. It's just not my favorite Mario and Luigi game. Um, it's not terrible. It's just like it's kind of hard to go back to Bowser's Inside Story after Dream Team because you can see where the time to attacks aren't quite as forgiving in Bowser's Inside Story as they are in Dream Team. Just saying. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3. Um, oh, and my friend and I have been working on, through the power of Google Docs, we've been working on laying out the framework for us to make our own RPG um, in Unreal 3. So, you know, this is for my own catharsis. This is not something I would release commercially because the amount of bug testing I'd have to do would make it prohibitive. But whatever. Um, that's just me. See what else? What else we got going on here? Um, So Jewel, what games are you looking forward to that haven't been canceled that are coming out soon? If you will. Okay, apparently she has something to do. So I guess we can wrap this up here. So let me put the pitch out here. So this is the end of this episode of BS Busters. To get in touch with the cast via Gmail, you can reach me at Mr. Red Fox BSBuster at gmail.com or at Twitter at Matthew Wesley at Mr. Red Fox 91. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe. You can reach me, like I said, via Gmail or Twitter. We also have Discord. There's a link in the description of the Discord server link. And I will eventually, sometime this month, get on the Gram and Twitch. So with that being said, that's in the podcast. Rate, comment, share, subscribe. Peace and good night.